now allow me to give the floor to Ondřej Koubek from Scania, who will talk about the shifts towards sustainable transport. Ondřej, stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Petr, and thank you all for giving me the chance to be here, part of this fantastic morning. And first of all, you see our, I would say, main strategy or mindset, which we started to work with some maybe 5 years ago, or maybe even sooner. It's driving the shift. And it's also connected to my position at Scania CR, which means Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Hungary. I'm driving the shift director, and people keep asking me, what does it mean, driving the shift director, and what does it mean, driving the shift? Scania has always been profiled as a leader in sustainable transport systems, and driving the shift is, I would say, a natural development of this mindset, of this strategy, because we really want to drive the shift into better future, into sustainable transport system. And the main part of this philosophy is sustainability. Why we are talking about this? I think Vladimir has already touched that, but we see that there is increasing need of transport. I believe you can victim that every day driving on the roads, that you are complaining about the trucks standing in all the roads and highways. And unfortunately, 25% of global emissions are coming from transport. So that's why we really see that transport is a key to economical and social sustainability. And why we are talking also about economical and social, because many people believe that sustainability is just being green, but this is not right. Sustainability is combination of environmental, economical, and social approach, because sustainability is that we all be here in next 20, 50, 100 years. If we only go green, then we will be destroyed economically and we are done. It's not sustainable. Our approaches at Scania, we can divide sustainability into 2 areas. Sustainable transport, which means doing the right things, the right products, and responsible business. It means doing things right. So not only the products that we deliver to the customers and take care of, but of course we take the social responsibility as a company. So we take care of environmental footprint from our operations. We take care of diversity and inclusion, health and safety, human and labor rights, business ethics, and community engagement, because this is all building the whole sustainability approach and picture. Few years ago, Scania was among the first industrial companies which committed to follow the science-based targets based on Paris Agreement from 2015. Because we know, of course, we are a big company which is contributing to the global transport ecosystem, and we believe that we have a huge responsibility for the impact of our operations and of operations of our products. So that's why we committed to follow the Paris Agreement, and we set our driving the shift strategy, which is based on science-based targets, not like best guess, we think that something is possible. It's really achievable. And we are now, I would say, in the middle of the journey from 2015 to 2025. As you can see, we committed ourselves to reduce the CO2 emissions from our own operations at least by 50% in this 10 years period. And the products, this is something what we really don't have in our hands, because it's all about the customer possibilities, the market possibilities, and also infrastructure. So that's why we set the target at 20%. It's tough, but we really see that it's realistic. And how to get there? And we are slowly getting to the point of this conference, because of course we still have our conventional powertrain, and we would be lying to ourselves if we say that only e-mobility and other stuff is possible. Because especially in Central European region, we see that the conventional combustion engines will be here still with us for some years. So we are focusing on fuel efficiency, renewable fuels, and driver coaching, because also the middle part between steering wheel and seat is extremely important. And of course, electrification. And here we are talking about many ways of electrification, but I will come back to this later. Here is just a briefly split of those 20%, how to get there, because we see there is some natural development of the vehicle. We see improving quality of diesel, that's the diesel mix. Of course, combustion engine improvements, because as I said, without combustion engine improvements, we would be still stuck in the past. Driver coaching and right specification for each operations, and also electrical vehicles and green energy and biofuel partnership. So you can still see that combustion engine plays the role, and whatever the fuel is, combustion engine still has a place to live. What we are currently offering at Scania, which solutions? I think that some of the abbreviations will be familiar for you and some of them maybe not that much. CBG, LBG, simply we can say it's gas. CBG is compressed biogas, LBG is liquefied biogas. So it's like CNG, LNG, but coming from biosources. Here you can see the savings of CO2 emissions are really, really tremendous. HVO, unfortunately, and I really feel sad about that, in Central Europe is something new and not very common. Vladimir has mentioned that as well. Simply said, it's hydrogenated vegetable oil. It means a fuel coming from recycled hydrogen oils, maybe from your kitchens if you separate those waste. And in Scandinavian countries, it is pretty common. And we can have very significant savings of CO2 emissions because this is fossil-free and completely renewable fuel. Battery electric vehicles. And here maybe you notice that the CO2 emission savings are not that huge. How can be gas or some oil more sustainable when it comes to CO2 than electric vehicles? I would say the answer is clear, because under 55% you see the range of 53 to 99. It depends on the source of electricity. In Norway, where we have, I would say, almost 100% of the electricity from renewable sources, yes, we are reaching 100%. But for instance, Germany, burning coal like hell, we are only slightly above 50%. So it differs market by market. And to be honest, we are also not the best in this energy mix in Czech Republic and Central Europe, but we are heavily improving also in our region. Biodiesel, yeah, was quite famous in recent years, but we see that in well-developed European countries, this fuel is going to the back a bit. And for Latin America, a very popular fuel, ED95, ethanol. It's alcohol created from sugarcane, and it has a very high quality for combustion engines, and I would say more than interesting savings of CO2 emissions. What about hydrogen? I didn't mention it right now. Well, I'm not saying that Scania is not working with hydrogen. The only reason why I didn't mention hydrogen before is that it's not available right now for retail customers. Of course, we see that it's a really promising energy carrier, and it should be a way to the future. We already have for more than 5 years a fleet of more than 50 hydrogen vehicles being operated by real transport companies in real everyday operations, and we are still extending the fleet of pilot vehicles with pilot partners in the whole Europe. Last week, we have signed a contract with Holier in Switzerland. I don't want to disclose the details, but we are, I would say, in a very good discussions also with some customers in our Central European region, in Czech Republic as well. So we are on a very good way, but we still need to think of several challenges, because hydrogen there are two ways of hydrogen. There is this dirty hydrogen, and that's really not the way because of the emissions and energy demands during the production, and then green hydrogen. But unfortunately, production of hydrogen is extremely expensive. The demands for electricity while producing hydrogen are incredible. And from the well-to-wheel perspective, still hydrogen is not that easy and not that efficient as battery electric vehicles. And I can say maybe some 120 years ago, we were in a very luxurious situation because we said, okay, horses, it was enough. Now you can enjoy the rest of your lives, do the horse racing, and we have combustion engine. But what is the future now? Because you saw that we are now testing and exploring many of the areas: gas, biofuels, renewable fuels, electricity, hydrogen. What will be the future? We are now working with 4 scenarios. One, I would say from my perspective, the most realistic for next 20, 30 years, battery electric vehicles, because the technology is improving. And yeah, simply said, when it comes to the costs and effectivity, it's the best solution for e-mobility right now. Growth of biofuels, and I mean real biofuels, not biodiesel, which made the whole country yellow. So 100% biofuels with combination with battery electric vehicles. Fuel cells growth. I'm not saying that maybe tomorrow somebody will come with a new technology how to produce green hydrogen, or technological mix combining all of those approaches. We will see, and only the future will tell us which path is the right one. But as I mentioned, we are really focusing on electrification, battery electric vehicles, and the plan is simple. By 2030, we are planning to have more than half of our production coming from with electrical powertrain. And electrical powertrain, it means battery electric vehicles, fuel cells, whatever. It's a combination, just using electricity as the main power. And what are some e-mobility plans at Scania? Now we have battery electric vehicles, tractor units and rigids, mainly for urban distribution purposes, with driving range up to 250, 270 kilometers. And this year we have also released updated plug-in hybrid. We are the only brand producing plug-in hybrid heavy vehicles. And the full electric range of 60 kilometers is ready after 30 minutes of charging. We have already introduced new truck, which will be produced next year. It's a truck which can be running for 4 hours with 40 tons, full speed, or for 3 hours with 60 tons. So here we are talking about something which is coming, I would say, which is making sense for the customers and for the hauliers. And in 2024, we will introduce long distance electric trucks. They will be able to run for more than 4 hours, and the charging, if there will be a proper charger, will last 45 minutes, which means it's the mandatory break for the drivers. And all the things which I mentioned are strictly connected with the charging. Our vehicles are equipped with CCS2 connectors, which simply said that it can be charged with all of the DC chargers, which we are meeting along highways. The only limitations is the parking space, because of course, when the companies are building the chargers and we see five, 6 chargers, nobody wants to occupy all of them, the parking space, with one long truck and long vehicle. And also with other technology partners, we are working on a new standard, MCS, megawatt charging. It's something what will in the future replace standard CCS right now. And as we are now with charging talking about kilowatts, the MCS standard charging speed will be at least 1 megawatt. Of course, there will be huge demand for the grid capacity, but it's another story. And as Vladimir also mentioned, at the end of the last year, there was signed a joint venture of Volvo Group, Daimler, and also Traton Group covering Scania and MAN. And those companies committed to build in next 5 years at least 1,700 high-speed charging points in the whole Europe with investments of more than €500 million. And we know that other partners and other, especially energy distributors, are planning to support this initiative and build their own stations. So it's not happening overnight, but the charging infrastructure is definitely in a pipeline, and it will happen. It will definitely happen. And where are we heading? We are heading into automation and fully autonomous vehicles. We already have some in operations. Here you can see just one mining vehicle which we are operating in the mining industry in Australia. We are also testing in real operations, in real traffic in Europe, some other vehicles. The key is connectivity, because if we have information about the vehicles, where they are standing, where they are driving, what are the habits of the drivers, then we can properly plan the charging and other services and electrification. Because combustion engine is still something what we are what we need today, but electrification is the future, no matter which way of electrification it will be. And that's all from my side, and definitely I'm happy to answer your questions.
Ondřej, thank you for your presentation. I was interested in several things in it. One of them is driver coaching. You are very good in it. But especially with the battery-powered trucks, the way the driver drives will be the key point for the range of the truck. Will the coaching be any different from for the internal combustion engine trucks?
Fortunately, I must say that there is no big difference, or no difference at all, because there is still a steering wheel, throttle, and brake. And of course, from normal vehicles, normal heavy-duty vehicles, we see a retarder or this engine brake, and we have the same, but instead of retarder, it activates recuperation. And also, if you push the brake pedal, it starts recuperation. So if you are a good driver with combustion engine, then you don't need to change the habits, and you are a good driver with electric vehicle as well. I would say the only difference is the mindset of the drivers, because we see that many of the drivers believe that the only right vehicle is equipped with V8 engine, and they are not willing to drive those vacuum cleaners, as they call it. So I would say the mindset is the main difference.
Maybe the important thing will be the number of coils in the engine or something like that.
Yes.
In your presentation, you mentioned several scenarios for the use of different alternative powertrains and fuels. Which one do you trust or believe in most in Scania?
At this moment, it's definitely, maybe for another 10-15 years, it's battery electric, because we see that this is the most efficient technology at this moment if we are talking about well-to-wheel. So it means the whole chain of the supply process. But we definitely believe in fuel cells as well. That's why we have fully developed the technology. That's why we have been testing that for more than 5 years. And that's why we are investing into this future as well.
Okay, and the last question relates to the autonomous driving. There was a photo of truck in presentation at some point, and it was the mine truck. But when do you see autonomous trucks appearing on the regular roads, and what is the biggest hurdle for overcome at the moment?
I would like to have a crystal ball here right now. Unfortunately, I don't, but I would say not only at Scania, but we see many examples that that the technology is almost ready. It's without questions. And of course, we can see some news about the accidents caused by those autonomous vehicles. But I would definitely say that the only problem of autonomous vehicles is that they are still driving with real drivers who are unpredictable. So the main obstacle is legislation, because as I said, the technology is ready and it's working pretty well. And I can definitely imagine if there will be some dedicated lanes or roads, especially for autonomous vehicles. I can say from Scania point of view, we can start today.
Okay. It's really brave.
It is, but but you know, it is still the point, because if you affect an accident, you may end in jail, in prison. But if such a vehicle does that, would you remove the chip and put it into jail? Or what is the impact? So the legislation is the greatest obstacle, and I believe there will be a long discussions for decades if we will not have separated roads for such vehicles.
Okay, exactly. There are some questions from our panelists, or not?
Maybe just a quick question from me. You mentioned the HVO-based fuels and maybe the underdevelopment in our region. What do you see from a perspective of an automotive company? What do you see as the biggest challenge for developing these kind of fuels?
I can't say. Maybe it's the source of the oils to produce HVO, because honestly speaking, in our region, we are not the best ones in recycling, and there is not legal support of recycling of oils. And that's why maybe in Scandinavia, in Switzerland, HVO is a standard offer in majority of the petrol stations. And it's not the case here. And maybe I forgot to say that from my point of view, it's maybe the easiest way how to switch to sustainable transport, because all of our Euro 6 engines, diesel engines, are certified for use of HVO. So from the operational perspective, there is no difference.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one note about that. About the HVO, that it's quite common in Scandinavia, as my colleague from Scania said, and the price it's not so high if you compare common fuel the HVO, but in our region it's not available at all. When I ask for companies to get it, they said no, it's impossible, and we can deliver only 30%. And if you manage, I think so there is enough this fuel, but we are not delivering in our region. This is what I see the main issue.
Yeah, fully agree.
Let's move on again. Now we will move from. Thank you, Ondřej, for answers and for your presentation.